My name is Emma. I was 16 when this story began. At that time, I lived in a quiet little town called Willow Creek. It was peaceful. There were soft green hills, small cozy shops, and one big school, the only one in town. That year, I started grade 10. And that's when I met Mr. Carter, our new literature teacher. He was 25, still young, but he looked mature. He had dark blonde hair, wore glasses, and always carried a brown leather bag. He dressed simply, a clean white shirt, sometimes a dark blue sweater. But it was his eyes, green, calm, and kind. When he smiled, it felt like the first morning sun after days of rain. All the girls noticed him from the first day. They whispered, giggled, tried to make him laugh. One girl even dropped her pen on purpose, again and again, just to catch his attention. But Mr. Carter never changed. He was always polite, always respectful. He didn't play favorites. He didn't flirt. He only came to class to teach. And maybe that's what made me admire him even more. I liked him. I liked him so much. But not in the way others did. I didn't ask him silly questions. I didn't joke or try to make him look at me. I was shy, quiet, always sitting in the second row, near the window. But every time he read aloud, I listened with all my heart. His voice made every story feel alive. Mr. Carter didn't just teach words. He taught feelings. He told us why one line of poetry could make us smile, and why another could break our hearts. After each story, he asked us to write what we felt, and I always gave my best, not to impress him, but hoping, just hoping he would see me. And sometimes he did. He would hand back my paper, look me in the eyes, and say, "Good work, Emma." Just those 3 words made everything inside me feel light. On the days we had his class, I wore my best clothes, not to stand out, just to feel like my best self. I wore a silver ring that my grandmother gave me. I brushed my hair carefully. I wasn't trying to be pretty like the other girls. I just wanted him to see me, not as another student, but as someone who truly cared about what he taught. When he called my name in class, my hands would shake, but I always answered. And when he said, "Well done," I smiled the whole day. At home, I thought about him. I wondered what kind of books he read, if he had a cat or a dog, if he sat by the window like I did, listening to quiet music. I didn't know, but I wanted to. One afternoon, I saw him at the grocery store. He had a basket filled with fruit and bread. He smiled and said, "Hello, Emma. Doing some shopping?" I said yes and smiled back. My hands were cold, but my heart was full. Another time I saw him outside a small bookstore. He was laughing with a friend. When he saw me, he waved. I waved back, but after he walked away, I felt something heavy inside. I didn't want to see him with anyone else, even if he was never mine. Time passed. Autumn turned the leaves brown. The wind became colder. And then came the school festival. Mr. Carter was there, helping at the book stall. I went and picked out a little storybook. He looked at the cover and said, "Good choice." I smiled, but again I said nothing more. Later that night, I sat in bed, thinking about what I could have said. But it was too late. So instead, I kept writing good essays, and he kept giving me high grades. He often wrote things like very thoughtful or excellent reflection. I saved those papers in a box under my bed. On snowy days, when school closed, I stayed inside and read. I even dreamed of him sometimes, of walking in the snow beside him, talking about stories and poems. But real life keeps moving, and then one day, everything changed. It was the last day before spring break. After class, he stood up and said, "I have some news. I'm leaving Willow Creek High. I got a new job at a university in another city." The room went silent. One girl cried. Another looked shocked. But I just sat there, still, like I was frozen inside. After class, I didn't go home. I walked behind the school to the little bench under the bare trees. I sat in the cold, looking at the sky. I didn't cry, but I felt something break quietly inside me. That evening, I walked around the neighborhood. Without meaning to, I found myself in front of a small white house, his house. The lights were on. I saw a shadow moving inside. I didn't stay long. I just stood there for a moment, then turned away. I didn't say goodbye. I couldn't. It was too hard. But I thought of him every day, until one day I saw him again. But after Mr. Carter left, everything at school felt different. The new literature teacher was kind, but for me, the magic was gone. I still did well in class. I still read books, but the excitement, the butterflies, the quiet joy, all of it faded. Every now and then, I walked past his old house. A new family lived there. The garden looked different. It was strange, like someone had erased the past. But I still had the essays, still had his notes, still had the small storybook he once said was a good choice. I kept them all in a box, tucked away, just like my feelings. As the months passed, life moved forward. Spring turned into summer, and I started studying for my university entrance exams. I wanted to study English literature, just like Mr. Carter once taught me. My parents supported me. They said I had a good chance of getting into a university in the city. To prepare, I joined a private evening class. It was held in a small building near the train station. Only 8 students, 2 nights a week. I remember the first day clearly. I walked in, sat down quietly, and opened my notebook. A few other students were already there. I looked around. The air felt normal, ordinary, until the door opened. And there he was, Mr. Carter. He paused for a second when he saw me, then smiled. "Welcome, everyone," he said. "I'm Mr. Carter. I'll be your teacher for the next 6 months." My heart stopped. It really was him. His hair was shorter now. He wore a dark jacket, and maybe he looked a little older. But his eyes, they were still green, still kind. After class, he came up to me. "Emma," he said, "it's good to see you again. You've grown." I smiled. "I didn't expect to see you here," I said softly. "I moved back last month," he explained. "I missed teaching high school students, so I returned." We didn't say much more, but my heart, it felt warm again. In the weeks that followed, I worked harder than ever. I completed every assignment, asked questions, stayed late after class, and sometimes we talked. He asked about my dreams. I told him I wanted to study literature. He nodded. "That's a good choice." One evening after class, it started to rain. I didn't bring an umbrella. I stood near the door, waiting. Then I heard his voice. "Do you want me to walk you home?" He held a large black umbrella. I hesitated. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Of course," he replied. We walked slowly through the rain. The streets were quiet, only the soft tapping of rain on the umbrella. "Do you still read a lot?" he asked. "Yes," I smiled, "even more than before." We talked about books, music, the future. That walk was the best I had in a long time. After that, he often walked me home. Sometimes we sat at the park and talked. We laughed. We shared stories. He told me about his new job. I told him about my life. And slowly, It felt different, like we were no longer just teacher and student. We were two people who understood each other. One Saturday, he asked if I wanted to go to the cinema. "It's an old film," he said, "but I think you'll enjoy it." I said yes. That night, I wore a soft dress and a small necklace. We met outside the theater. We watched the movie, then sat in a small cafe. It was raining again, and when he looked at me, he leaned closer and kissed me, soft, gentle, like a secret. My heart didn't race. It was calm, like I had waited forever and now I was home. We kept it a secret. Only I knew. I didn't tell my parents or my friends. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to lose him again. Sometimes I asked myself, is this right? He was older. I was still young. But when we talked, it didn't feel wrong. We liked the same things, shared the same dreams, and I felt seen. Time passed. My exams were close. I studied hard. He helped me. He believed in me. "You're a smart girl, Emma. You can do this," he said once. And I believed him. Then everything changed. It was a warm afternoon. We were sitting on a bench in the park. He looked serious. "I need to tell you something," he said. "I got a job offer." "Where?" I asked. "In Boston. A big school, teaching literature." I didn't say anything, just looked ahead. "I haven't said yes yet," he added, "but it's a good chance for me." My heart cracked, quietly, slowly. "I understand," I whispered. He took my hand. "I care about you, Emma. You're very special to me. But this is important for my future." I nodded, because I wanted him to grow, even if it meant losing him. We met a few more times, talked, walked, said goodbye again and again. On his last day, he gave me a book of poems. Inside the cover, he had written my name. "Never stop writing." I hugged him, and then he was gone. After Mr. Carter left, everything at school felt empty. I still went to class. I still studied. I still read books. But something inside me was quiet, like a song that had stopped playing. We wrote letters at first, one every week, then every 2 weeks, then once a month. And then, one day, the letter came late, and it was short. He wrote, "Work is very busy. Time goes fast. I hope you are doing well." I read that letter again and again, but it didn't feel the same. His words were polite, but cold, like someone writing to a stranger. I didn't write back right away. Then I stopped writing at all. Later, I got accepted to a university in New York City. I chose to study English literature, just like I always dreamed, just like he once inspired me to do. My parents were proud. My friends were excited. But deep inside, I felt quiet. Life moved on. I met new people, made new friends, studied hard. But I never told anyone about Mr. Carter, not even my closest friends. He was my secret, a beautiful memory I kept in a quiet place inside my heart. Years passed. One evening, I was sitting in the university library. I was tired from studying. I opened my laptop and typed his name, James Carter, and there he was. His photo showed him standing in front of a school building. He had a beard now. He looked older, maybe even a little tired. But it was him. I didn't know what to do. I just stared at the screen for a long time. Then, slowly, I typed, "Hello, Mr. Carter. This is Emma from Willow Creek. I hope you remember me." And I clicked send. The next morning, I saw a reply. "Of course I remember you, Emma. It's nice to hear from you. How have you been?" We talked a little online about life, work, the years in between. Then he wrote, "I'll be visiting New York next week for a conference. Would you like to meet?" I said yes. We planned to meet at a quiet cafe near the park. I arrived early. I wore a simple dress. I tied my hair back. I sat by the window and waited. Then I saw him. He walked in slowly, wearing a dark coat. His face had changed. A few small lines, a little more weight. His green eyes, they were softer now. Not as bright as I remembered, but still gentle. "Hi, Emma," he said, smiling. "Hi," I answered. We sat down and ordered coffee. We talked about school, about the books we loved, about how life had changed. He told me about his job in Boston. I told him about university and my dream to become a writer. We smiled. We listened. But something was different. The feelings I once had were no longer there. He was still kind, still calm, still respectful. But I had changed. And maybe so had he. After 2 hours, he said, "It was really nice to see you." I smiled. It was nice to see you too. That evening, I walked home through the park. It started to rain. I stood under a tree and watched the raindrops fall. The world looked soft and quiet. I remembered the night he first walked me home in the rain. I remembered his voice, his gentle smile, the way I once felt, and I smiled again. I thought, Life is like rain. Sometimes it feels cold. Sometimes it makes us cry, but it also helps flowers grow. It washes away what is old and brings something new. I still remember Mr. Carter, but now when I think of him, I don't feel pain. I feel peace. He was a part of my story, but he was not the end of it. Now I'm writing new pages. I have a job I love. I teach young children how to read and write. I help them feel the beauty of words, just like he once helped me. And maybe one day, someone will sit in my class and remember me the way I remembered him. Because life keeps moving. People change, feelings change, but memories stay with us. They teach us, they shape us, and sometimes the most beautiful stories are the ones